My students have these cards prepared. We prepare them at the beginning of the year, and I've started to use this as a visual clue to what's going on. So when my students are doing speaking practice and I see the ones at the back, and I don't know whether they're talking about what they should be talking about or whether they're talking about what they did yesterday in Spanish, what I've got there is the cards, and they say what's on the card, but they also hold it up to each other because it is so difficult to be able to know what your partner is saying. So the typical, shall I go first, or would you like to start, or shall I? And can you speak up? Giving them those tools to ask each other for better communication. Similarly, a visual clue that I use is that they have 3 cards each. So if my students are doing a speaking activity in the class, they put one of these cards in whenever they've made a significant contribution. It can't just be yes or no, it has to be a sentence. And they put one of these down. And so this really helps me so I can see what's going on in the classroom. Because I don't know if they've finished or they haven't finished, or who's speaking more, who's speaking less. If you don't want to do that 1, 2, 3 idea, just holding up a card when it's their turn to speak also gives you an idea of perhaps those shyer students who aren't saying anything that day, and who normally, if you could see their mouths, you would know whether they were participating, but you can't at the moment with social distancing. Similarly, mine all have a card that says we've finished, so that I can see the early finishers who's getting through it quickly, and I can be on top of what's going on in the classroom so that I don't lose some of them because they're getting a bit bored. So those are the visual clues that I use. Also, I plan my classes on PowerPoint. You might use Google Slides, as I said. And what I find is sometimes my students don't do the speaking activity particularly well because they don't actually know what they have to do because they haven't heard me. So I just include the instructions. That's about the easiest thing that I can do is, here you are, this is what you have to do, speak in English, it's this page, for 2 minutes, please, everybody. And that, although it sounds very, very simple, it does keep them on target. And similarly, I don't tell my students now what page we're going to do in the course book. This is a page from Prospects 2, because they can't hear what I'm saying. So I just say to them on the slide that I've prepared, what page is it? First person to find it has to say the page. I go, okay, thanks. And then they tell everybody else in the classroom, what page, and they do it. I don't have to take part in that. And then we would move on to, in this case, the speaking practice activity of the class, which is there are 3 pictures. This is actually about music, and they have to have a discussion about describing the pictures and then what they think they're going to be reading about in the lesson. Another thing that I like to do, I find that I feel as if a little bit of the joy has gone out of my lessons at the moment, and I try to, and also because our students can't physically move as much, they're a bit deflated, they're a bit, so I like to do, I call it surprise speaking or a speaking brain break. These are short, unpredictable moments of speaking in my class. So instead of trying to incorporate speaking into the theme of the lesson, which I also do, but I also try and, if we can't jump, like so I was saying, lean from one side to the other in the classroom, we do a speaking brain break. So for example, in my lesson plan on Google Slides or PowerPoint, suddenly when my students are doing a grammar exercise, up pops a question. What are you doing after class? And they stop what they're doing and they talk to each other. This gives them a nice break and they just answer the question. And then whenever they are finished, they carry on with what they were doing before. It could be this, could be this one, or it could be this. So this is one thing that I'd like to know now. What's the last series you saw on Netflix? I think I need some recommendations.